So over the last few years, many people have asked me, how do I get into sync, or how do I license my music? Typically these questions come from artists, producers, and composers who are very good at what they do. They simply just have no idea where to start when it comes to music licensing. I totally know that feeling. When I first started, I was super overwhelmed. I had no idea where to start. There's many different variables and many different paths you can take. Typically when I get this question, I have a pretty solid list of go-to resources that I'll send someone to sort of get them started so they can build a foundational understanding of what music licensing is. So in this video, I'm going to go through those resources so that you can do the same, and obviously so when I get this question in the future, I can send people to this video. But first, I'm going to give you 3 of my biggest lessons that I've learned that honestly I'm still working on today, but I promise you they'll be very beneficial for you on your journey. Before I do that though, I'd like to just very quickly qualify myself for you, because if you're anything like me, you're probably very skeptical of taking advice from someone on the internet. I'm definitely that way myself. I'm very hesitant to take anyone's advice online unless I know that they actually practice what they preach and that they have success and some experience in the area that they're giving advice on. That they're not just piggybacking off someone else's success and not just rehashing what they heard someone else say. I first learned about music licensing back in college. I actually went to school for music. I started as a guitar major and then ended up switching my major and graduated with my Bachelor of Music in Instrumental Composition, which is basically a program that was centered around film scoring and writing music for media. After graduating in 2016, I very quickly realized that I need to learn how to make some money from my home studio, and so I dove into the world of music licensing headfirst. In 2017, I signed my first few deals, and within about a month and a half of signing my first deal, the placements started rolling in. Fast forward to today, I have hundreds of tracks signed with various publishers and several hundred placements. My music has been used in everything from reality TV to bigger network TV shows, foreign shows, ads, promos, YouTube channels, and now I'm also getting into the world of music for movie trailers. So that gives you a general idea of my experience and where I'm at with my own journey in music licensing. Now the first lesson I want to share with you is something that I believe is critically important to both your success and your happiness, and unfortunately this is a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way. This is to really develop some self-awareness about your goals and your vision. What I mean by that is, what do you want your career and your life to look like 5, 10, 20 years down the road? Obviously this takes time, and you might not understand right away how this applies to music licensing, but just keep it in mind, and the more you learn about music licensing and the different paths that you can take, the more this will make sense, I promise. As you get into music licensing, you're probably going to be very eager to sign your first deal or say yes to your first opportunity, and say yes to the first chance you get to land a placement. But that might not be the best decision if that's not going to actually take you where you want to go. It's very important to be intentional and to keep your end vision and goal in mind before you say yes to any opportunity. Is this opportunity actually going to get you closer to where you want to be? Or is this just another shiny object that's going to help you climb the wrong ladder? In my experience, I've learned that it's far more important what you say no to than what you say yes to. Like I said, I'm still working on these lessons myself, and this one actually is a big focus for me right now. I'm sort of in a place in my career where I'm making a little bit of a pivot and making some changes. So up until this point, I've pretty much exclusively been focusing on sync, but now as I'm trying to, diversify my income and sort of build my brand and build a business around my production, I'm focusing more of my time on client work and trying to help artists who want to break into the sync world do just that. And so right now I'm really focused on working with artists who are outside of the sync world and just trying to balance that with the sync work that I do. I find that I really have to start saying no to opportunities that in the past I'd be super excited to say yes about. And again, this just all comes back to building some self-awareness and just realizing you can't say yes to everything. You're going to run out of time. So you have to be very intentional about, just thinking, is this going to get me closer to where I want to be? Or am I just overcrowding my plate? Which, you can ask my wife, I do that all the time. So again, I'm still working on these myself, but just really be intentional and, start with the end in mind. The second lesson I want to share with you is actually something I learned directly from a music supervisor at a conference a few years ago for music licensing. What he said absolutely blew my mind when I heard it, and it completely changed my perspective on creating music for film and TV. What he said was, you work in the film and TV industry, not the music industry. Maybe that doesn't make sense to you right away, so let me explain. When we're making music for sync specifically, the music is not the star. The music provides a service, right? Its job is to support the TV show, the film, etc. If you want to be successful with sync, and especially for those of you who are doing instrumental music, you really need to shift your mindset and perspective to one of providing a service. It's not about creating the best piece of music. It's about creating music that supports the emotion and the drama of the media. That same music supervisor later said, I don't want the best music, I want the right music. Again, begin with the end in mind and think about your music and how it will be used. Is your lead too distracting maybe? Is this going to work work under dialogue, really think about how is this music going to be used before you create it. Shift your mindset and think of yourself as a service provider and serve the needs of your client. Keep that in mind and I guarantee it will benefit you. The third and final lesson that I want to share with you today is one that I admittedly still really struggle with, and again, my wife would be the first one to tell you, and that is to simply just have fun and enjoy the process. Don't put all of your focus and attention on reaching a certain milestone before you can be content and happy. Yes, of course, we want to have clear goals, we want to have a vision, we want to be driven and keep growing in our careers. But if you don't enjoy the process and the journey along the way, then what's the point? And I think this is something probably just about everyone struggles with. I know for myself, it's, along the journey, there's been several different versions of this. It's, oh, once I get my music on this TV show, then I'll be happy, and that didn't do it. I got dozens of placements on that TV show, and none of them made me feel that great. It's, once I get here, then I'll be happy. Once I get here, then I'll be happy. And right now for me, this very much looks like, well, once I'm full time with music, then I'll be happy, then I'll be content. And honestly, once I get there, which hopefully will be sooner than later, I'm sure there's going to be other milestones and goals that, that milestone and that goal marker just keeps moving further and further. So if you don't really enjoy making music every day, then honestly, you should probably just stop now. So really make sure that you love making music and that you love doing this every day, because even after you reach a milestone, the next day you're just right back in the studio making music. You really have to just enjoy the journey and the process. As promised, I'd like to give you a few free resources. And again, these are resources that I typically send out to people when they ask me, how do I get started with music licensing? And if you're brand new to this, I highly recommend you dig into these. These references and resources were incredibly helpful to me when I was starting my journey, and they will help you build a foundational understanding of what music licensing is and how it works. The first resource I'd like to give you is a YouTube channel called Sync My Music. Now this channel started around the same time that I started my music licensing journey, and I was lucky enough to discover it pretty much right away. So this channel has been super helpful for me pretty much since day one of my journey. On this YouTube channel, you'll find many great videos covering sync licensing. I'd highly recommend checking out the 5-day free course linked in the banner and going through some of the videos. One thing you can do is to go to the videos tab and sort by most popular. Here you'll find some of the best and most helpful videos right away. The second resource is a company called Taxi. They do also have a paid service, which you can look into as well, but for this video, I'm highlighting some amazing free resources that they have. The first is called Taxi TV. This is a free online show the CEO does every single Monday, and you can find these on YouTube as well. There are many great videos covering music licensing, how to get started, and interviews with professionals in the industry. The other great free resource they have is the Taxi Forums, which is forums.taxi.com. The Taxi Forums are a great place to learn. It's a great network of people who are by and large incredibly kind and helpful. Here you'll find many different channels you can explore, get your music reviewed, and much more. If you do choose to become a paid member, you also get free tickets to their annual convention, the Taxi Road Rally, which is every November in LA. Obviously, this hasn't happened in the last couple of years, but hopefully it will again soon. I can say personally that attending the Taxi Road Rally was hugely transformational for my career. I attended the 3 years leading up to 2020, and it was completely life-changing. Those two resources were probably the most beneficial for me in terms of free resources. Of course, I have taken advantage of many paid resources as well, whether that be books, courses, consultations, and so on. And of course, this is a topic for another video, but I do highly recommend investing in yourself and your career when the time is right. Lastly, two other YouTube channels that I'd like to give a big shout out to and that I believe could be very beneficial for you are Marlon Gibbons and Clint Music. Both of these channels have a variety of videos largely based around music licensing, mindset, and creating music for film and TV. Marlon does a lot more natural, organic, and acoustic-based music, while Clint does more hip-hop centered music. I'd recommend checking them both out and seeing if they're a good fit for you. Alright, I hope this video was very helpful for you. Of course, if you have any feedback at all, any comments, or any ideas for future videos, or anything you'd like me to cover, please comment down below and let me know. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.